Good morning, everybody. We're getting a salute out today. Sam here, United People's TV. How are you doing? I know how you're doing. It's been another rough week in the lives of being a Manchester United fan these days. You've had to deal with the arguments, the debates, the discussions, and it's been a grim one. It really has been a grim one. I'm going to be here today to speak about the latest United news. We're going to speak about... Got the here we go for Cristian Orozco from Fabrizio Romano. I covered that story last week. I'll give you a little bit more information on it this morning. We can have a chat. We'll also definitely be having a chat about Rasmus Højlund. I said something on Twitter yesterday, and I'm getting accused of being a hypocrite, a revisionist, everything left, right, and centre. It's very hard to have a conversation on Twitter. Almost impossible. But I'm going to go into it and speak about it in a little bit more detail today. We'll speak about Rashford as well yesterday. We'll also speak about the game on Saturday. Just over 48 hours we play Sunderland. That game should not be as big as it is, but it is because of what's happened so far this season. And I'll run through. We'll have a conversation about Bruno, Kobe, Manassi, who's back in training, Ahmad, who's back in training. There's not a Ghost Movement shirt. It's a bit hot in here. So put the old... the Ghost of Christmas Past is haunting both Manchester United and my shirts. Let's see who's here from the mods and the members gang, and let's get on with today's show, all right? Josh, Carl, and Stephanie, good morning to all of you. I hope you're all doing fantastic. JC, you're there as well. Liam, good morning to you. Akash, nice to see you there. I haven't seen you in a good while. Alicia, we've got Giggity, we've got Sasha, Chris, we've got Dean, Zinni, and some non-members. We've got Kevin Shuttler, Shane Greenan, Ashwin. We've got... Josie Graydon, good morning to you. Wow. Shall we get on with today's show? Okay, I want to start with this news, right? Which is, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody to hear about this. I don't think anybody's going to be excited about it. Nor should they be. This is from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic. It was reported a little while ago, and he's just kind of following up onto it, saying that United are considering doing a midweek, mid-season Saudi Arabia friendly. Effectively, it's a money spinner. You know how we did the end of post-season Malaysia and Hong Kong tour? I think we earned in the region of 7 mil for that, which is insane, really. United are doing the same because we haven't got any European football. You know what really, really annoys me? Maybe I'm wrong with this one. Probably am wrong, actually, if I think about it. If United had started this season in a way like what we saw against Arsenal, and then if we actually carried that through into the performances that followed, and we were doing well this season, and we were developing, we were progressing, we were seeing some things one week, and next week going, oh, very nice. Improvement. Do you think that this would be a conversation? I mean, it might still be. But we all looked at this season, and if there was going to be a silver lining to the fact that United were only playing once a week, it was the fact that the players were going to have more time on the training ground. Amram was going to have more time on the training ground. Be better for fitness, more rest, less fatigue. But that's not happened. That's not come. That's not made a difference, really. And yeah, I agree with you. It does make sense. United's failures in Europe last season have created, I believe this is going to be the shortest season that Manchester United have, in terms of games anyway, for, I think it's like 30, 40 years. Can't remember. Kai's saying maybe cynical view, but it puts some players in the window for Saudi clubs. Potentially. But effectively, it's just a money spinner. It's just a way for United to bring in some more revenue and to take advantage of the fact that there are midweeks empty now, because I tell you what, the football's not taking advantage of it. That's what I mean. If we were playing great, would these conversations exist? Maybe they'd have less leverage. But we're playing crap, so they don't. Manny, good morning to you, dude. Wow, gifting 20. You're a legend. I've really enjoyed you getting involved in the chat, and I really enjoyed. I say to everyone, because I'm going to get into this sort of Twitter Højlund debate and conversation. Like, really, you all know how important my integrity is to myself, like how I carry myself, the videos that I do, the videos that I choose not to do. So to get called like a reactionary revisionist really annoys me. I can see why some people are saying it, but it's because you can't have a conversation on Twitter. Yeah. Anyway, let's run through the news that broke this morning. So, Cristian Orozco. We covered the stories that emerged from Colombia last week. What was the name of the journalist? First name was Pipe. That might have just made that up. Can't remember. Anyway, it's a funny name. United needed to attack the South American market. Not just the South American market, but emerging markets for emerging talents. Brian, you're asking when that trip's meant to be. At this moment in time, there's just sort of talks. Manny, you're saying it's a money spinner. The alternatives are off the training pitch, augmenting their needs and psychology, other aspects to build a siege mentality. I wouldn't say it's like a siege mentality. I don't know. If United weren't skint, we wouldn't be doing this. If United were in European football, we wouldn't be doing this. But we are skint, and we don't have European football. Hence why we're doing it. So yeah, Cristian Orozco. 7 months, is it 7 months ago? How long ago did I do this video? 11 months ago, right? I did this video. I just want to play the outro to this video again, right? This was a little mini doc we did on the fact that United needed to attack the South American market. What does this all mean for United? We've traditionally focused on signing established players or players who have already proven themselves in Europe. But in today's market, that approach might be leaving us behind. To truly tap into the South American market, United are going to have to focus on young players with immense potential, improve the scouting network in South America to identify those talents earlier, develop the pathway for young talents, be willing to take calculated risks, and to look beyond Brazil and Argentina. Inflated transfer fees and wages that established players command leave little room for error in the market. It's not really sustainable. The South American market could be a perfect remedy. The question isn't whether United should tap into this market, it's how they can do it most effectively. Right, so that was it. If you haven't watched that one, I'd encourage you to go back and watch it. Still stands true. Did that 11 months ago. And since then, United have, of course, we've signed Diego Leon from Paraguay, Cerro Porteño. And this year is his year of development. I never expected anything from Diego Leon anyway. But we've now got a second lad. And this is Cristian Orozco. So we've got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano yesterday. United have now sealed and signed a deal to bring in 17-year-old Colombian talent, Cristian Orozco. $1 million is the transfer fee. He turns 18 in July this year. That's when he can join. If you don't know, because of Brexit, because United Kingdom left the European Union, different rules, different regulations. We can't bring in anybody that's under the age of 18. So he can't join. Same with Diego Leon. We signed him, and then he went back to Paraguay and played the second half of the season there, and then came. Cristian Orozco will join in July. So probably, I think he turns 18th of July, mid to late July. So I'm guessing he won't be involved in a full preseason either. Anyway, the deal is done. And I'm excited for it. I've already done a video on it last week. I mean, I suppose you could technically do another video on it today, but I think I kind of be repeating myself a little bit. What we're going to do is try and scout and follow him for the next 2-3 months, and then just bring you a sort of a what's happening with Cristian Orozco video update with maybe a couple of clips of his performances, what coaches have been saying about him, what the press have been saying about him. But these sorts of signings, right? We need to make more of them, right? Fabrizio Romano here saying that United are hoping or convinced that they found a gem. He's a 17-year-old. He's a captain of Colombia's under-17s. He is a central midfielder who does receive the ball first from his centre-backs. He is a build-up player. He is a tempo creator. But he's 17. Guy's nowhere near the finished product. He's just developing. But physically, he's very developed already. We have to do this and do this. This is how we get away from not get away from. This is how we finally punch through in terms of the transfer market. Manchester United used to be the club for developing players. Like, arguably the best in the world. And there really are only a handful of players that we can confidently say have joined and become better players at the club. Now, Lenny Yoro, great example. And we've already had these debates and these conversations. But I want us to make more of these signings. Someone down there saying we're just tailing Brighton. Brighton had access to and people get angry and bored about it, but Brighton had the only reason Brighton, not the only reason, but the reason Brighton were able to do what they were doing was because they had their data. They had a completely unique. I don't know how Brighton managed to make their data system unique. I don't know what they had that no one else had. But it's almost like, I suppose, if you're in F1 and you're coming towards when there's an engine change, and then somebody will know what to do. Somebody will make those tweaks better than anybody else makes them. You've all got access to, well, not everybody because the funds are different, etc., etc. But you kind of get the point I'm making. Maybe not. Bit of a naff analogy, I suppose. I'm backing out of that one. Either way, Brighton had access to the data in the way that other clubs didn't. United have tried to improve that. We've brought in Dominic Jordan, who was, again, you might find this boring. No, Michael Sansoni. Dominic Jordan left. Michael Sansoni has been brought in from Mercedes to head up the data department now, which Dominic Jordan established. Boring, I know. Numbers, behind the scenes, I don't care, Sam. I just want to talk about the football. These are the things that, in an ideal world, will make a difference. And in an ideal world, this lad comes in and he is the real deal. And he does develop quicker than maybe many expect, because age is only a number at United, but age is, you know what I've said about youngsters. The youngsters in football these days are just, a 17-year-old these days is not what a 17-year-old was 10 years ago in terms of the development. Let me see what you're saying down here in the chat. Talk about exploiting the South American market sounds like peak colonial football discourse. Euro comparison is problematic. He was expensive and a known potential. Garnacho a better comparison. Exploitation? I mean, that's a hell of a way to describe signing younger players from different countries. No? I mean, that's Jesus Christ. You're taking a conversation from here and you are moving it about 400 yards that way. I'm just talking about spotting the best young, talented footballers in world football and giving them a platform and an opportunity to join one of the biggest clubs in the world. You know, sometimes you can't talk to people, I swear to God. Woo. DP saying Amram needs to use the youth, got rid of the academy and younger players, and now he hardly plays mainly. Got rid of the academy and younger players? I suppose people are going to be changing their mind on Rashford now. People are going to be saying that Garnacho was forced out by Amram. Yeah, no, that was not the case. Sorry, man. Sorry, that comment properly caught me off guard. The point I did with this video, and the reason I'm excited about this, is because these are the signings which we spoke about. If we can get a 1 in 5 hit rate, it'll be amazing. If one out of 5 of these youngsters can turn into an established senior first team player for Manchester United, it will make such a difference to how we approach transfer markets. It will help our budgets. We went big this summer. I'll speak about the transfer market in a second, because we're going to be moving on to a conversation speaking about players who left and the discourse that now exists. JC is saying, Sam, maybe capitalise is probably a better word. It's just, we capitalised on a certain 17-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo when he impressed us when we played Sporting. I don't know. It's just, anyway, strange approach. Oh, look at that. Random, but we're 29 subs away from 555,000. You know how mad that is? Thank you, everybody. I always say that. I'm always be aware of like your own situation of what's going good for you. Don't always just sit there and think, oh, yeah, if I only had this, only had that, only had this, only had that. And then sometimes you kind of wish away what you've got. I'm so grateful that this is my job, even if bloody hell, even if it has been tough. Like yesterday, I could have done a video yesterday, but it would have just been like, there wasn't any conversation worth having that would have like added to your lives as a United fan. You know, sometimes I do those videos, but like early this week, I've already done a couple on Ruben Amorim and I was a bit tired of it. Why does the United shirt on the rail keep moving? Will United score a goal at some point? There's a fan over there, all right? Rashford, cracking assist yesterday, if you saw that. Really happy for him. I don't sit here. The only thing if I'm going to be annoyed about one thing to do with Marcus Rashford, I'm annoyed that his buy clause is like 26 mil. I was annoyed when his buy clause was 40 mil at Villa. Now, I'm going to presume, and we spoke about it so much, I'm not going back to the summer and having these conversations, I'm going to presume that the reason it's 26 mil is because United compromised. They wanted 40 mil, but if you pay his full wages now, which are probably going to total somewhere between 12 and 14 mil, and you take him for the whole season, then you can take that off the price and you can have him for, what else would it be? 26 mil. I imagine that's what it is. That's the only reason I'm annoyed. I'm not annoyed that Rashford doesn't play for United anymore. I'm annoyed to see him thriving. I'm not surprised. But it's this that I want to have a conversation about. Right? Rasmus Højlund. Last night, bagged 2 for Napoli. First one, he got put through by De Bruyne. Really nice run from Højlund on the last man. De Bruyne, slide pass, through ball. Højlund, second touch, right foot, stroked it in the bottom of the net. Lovely goal. Second goal, De Bruyne swings in across from the left-hand side. Højlund's there, beats his man, gets on the end of it, dinks it past the advancing goalkeeper. 2 goals, man of the match, really enjoyed himself. On Instagram after the game saying, look, Højlund scores twice in the Champions League after 2 assists from Kevin De Bruyne was not on my 2025 bingo card. I don't think it was on anybody's bingo card, man. But I said, and this is why I want to have a conversation. Because I can have a conversation with you. I can't. I tried to do one reply here to sort of justify myself, but it's still just blown up and just getting accused of things left, right, and centre. This is what I said, right? I said United's mistake this summer was spending £70 million plus on a striker instead of a central midfielder after we signed Cunha and Mbeumo. It's no slight on Šeško. It was just the wrong strategy and use of funds. We'd be a stronger team if we'd spent that money on a central midfielder and we kept Højlund. Now, I said this at the time. So people, that's what I mean about like, I really can't be bothered. I said it straight away. Like after we signed, was I excited that we signed Šeško? Yeah. Do I think it was a good signing that we signed Šeško? Yeah. Somebody trying to dig me out here? Trying to throw receipts at me? I said it would be an impressive bit of business from United if we sorted a deal for Šeško with Højlund going the other way. And at that point, I don't know why I pulled that up as a receipt, because it would have been an impressive bit of business. Šeško costing, 75 million, Højlund going for 40, then we paying the difference and we get Šeško for 30, 35. I think that would have been pretty good. But I don't know why this is so hard for people to understand. And I think it's just like Twitter. I love Twitter for... I'll forever call it Twitter, by the way. Not just because I'm spiteful, but I just can't be bothered to call it X. I'll always love that platform because it is the place for breaking news and stories. And it will always be the best for that. But when it comes to actually having conversation and debate, because it opens up all the funnels, like your conversations almost get hijacked and taken over. Right? Emmanuel is saying, no, Sam, I clearly remember you saying Rasmus should go. He had 2 years and he hasn't improved. Dude, Emmanuel, please take a second to sit and read. Okay, I'm doing this on your behalf for everyone else. I am not saying that Manchester United should not have sold Højlund. I am saying that if you gave me two scenarios, right? Number one, Manchester United don't sign a central midfielder. We sell Højlund, or he goes on loan with obligation. Højlund leaves, and we bring in Šeško. Or number two, United don't sign Šeško. Højlund stays, and we spend that money on a central midfielder. That would have been my preference. And I think it would have been Amrim's preference. It was Amrim's preference. You know, all summer that he wanted an athletic midfielder, and it was Jason Wilcox who kind of advocated for the fact that we needed a striker instead. Someone down there saying, I don't know how you do this. I never have the patience. I just don't like the idea that people are taking what I've said and sort of taking it somewhere else. And maybe it's just I've worded it incorrectly. I'm not here to say, look, Højlund got broken by United. Well, Højlund was broken by the time he left United. That's now 3 goals in 5 games. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do a lunchtime video on this, sort of like what's happening with Højlund. We're just going to cover everything that's happened since his move over there, what's being reported as well. And then it allows me to kind of extend this conversation and have a conversation about players leaving the club. Because this is something that we've got a mini doc prepared on this in the background. The script and the research is ready and done. But I don't particularly think that now is the right time to release that. Maybe we can do it in the international break. Maybe not. I'm not quite sure. What are you saying down here? Okay, right, dude. If you're trying to troll them, fair enough. You wanted Højlund out. I wanted a central midfielder more. Again, I don't know why people. Why won't people listen to what I'm saying? I've got no idea. Sam, you've been saying that United selling was... The Højlund one was particularly ruthless. This is a lad who actually wanted to stay at the club. This was a lad who had no intention of leaving. And United clearly didn't have any intention of listening. They didn't. Joe, you're saying it's simple and easy to see we're not feeding the strikers. Well, it's the same sort of... A lot of the same issues we had with Højlund. We're not all of them. I think Šeško's certainly, from a hold-up perspective, the ball's sticking to him a lot more than it ever did with Højlund. It's clear that Šeško's going to struggle too. I don't really think so. What is everyone's take on Šeško? I was going to mention this a little bit later in the show, but I may as well mention it now because we're having a conversation. What's your take on Šeško so far? I'm interested to know. Akash is saying he had 2 years though. Time is up. Rasmus being a lone striker was never going to work. Every striker in this system will be a lone striker, no? We're playing with a system that literally plays towards a lone striker. Let me see what you're saying down here. Michael, you're saying Šeško's classed. CTB, you're saying Šeško looks bright. Two of you saying Šeško's already struggling. I see parallels. I'm worried for him. Haven't really seen him yet. Not played enough to have an opinion, someone says down there. Someone saying he's average. No better than Rasmus. Interesting news, no? We've not fixed the service problems. I think he will struggle, says Rex. Give him the ball. Done okay, says Stu. Probably needs competition to help him develop. I don't think it's competition that needs to help him develop. Let's just get the lad some shots. Tequila. Sandbook. Seriously, just get him the ball. Works hard, says Robert will come to him. Carl, you're saying I think he's still getting used to the physicality. I haven't really looked at Šeško and thought, oh, he's struggling physically. Is anybody else? I haven't really looked at him and thought that. I think he's actually using his body better naturally. That was always one of the big frustrations we always had with Højlund towards the end, wasn't it? That last season. I don't know how he ever did it. Just, he couldn't seem to use his body correctly up against the defender. He'd always get like, the defender would just like poke a foot round or come over the top and dominate him in the air. We put too much pressure on the players. Mr. Smith saying Šeško's doing a lot of work off the ball and with it to bring others into play. Don't focus on the goals at the moment. They'll come. Suppose you look at Gyökeres as well. What's it? 389 minutes, I think, without a goal for Arsenal. Yeah. Man, I kind of run out. I kind of feel like I've kind of run out of things to say about a lot of United's problems and development and issues and progress and players and signings. Like, lads, just score goals. Just score goals. I don't want to have a debate about a system. I don't want to have a debate about what back three is the best. I don't want to have a debate about the role of wing backs. I don't want to have a debate about a number 6 and an advancing number 8. Just score goals, please. I feel like I'm begging at this point. Just get the ball in the back of the net. Football's become so much more complicated to absorb as a fan these days. You have to it just is. Just please take football back to being simple. Just score 4. Yeah, easy said and done. But that's what United's strategy was this summer. And that's the point I was trying to raise there with the Højlund conversation. The strategy of going after a striker, having signed 2 number 10s and overlooking the midfield would not have been the strategy that I would have done. Was I happy with the signing of Šeško? Yep. Am I happy with the signing of Šeško? Yep. Do I think that Højlund leaving was a bad thing for the club? Nope. Would it have been how I used the funds if it was my choice? No. And apparently I can't say that without being a hypocrite. So we'll end it there. Yeah, I'm being greedy before. But sod it. Give me 4 goals. Manny, you're saying the difference with Šeško at United and Højlund at United. A goal Šeško scored took 3 attempts. Højlund would have dropped his head after the first. I think that's a little bit unfair on Højlund, if I'm being honest. I don't think there was ever any point that I questioned Højlund's work rate. I questioned Højlund's sort of ambition to succeed. It just never really came off for him. When it got towards the end and everything just seemed difficult. Everything. And saying that Šeško's realizing how hard the Prem is. Can I ask you this as a question? Random here. You know how we always Premier League is the best league in the world. How much better do you really genuinely think it is at this point in time compared to Serie A, La Liga, everything else? Is it something that's just said as a cliche still? Or really is the Prem just... I would say the Prem is definitely the most unpredictable league. Like, Southampton? Sunderland being what, 4th? Start to the season they've had. The fact that 20th can beat 1st on any given day. That's where I would definitely say it's the best league. In terms of every week there are sort of curveballs. It's almost impossible to do a bloody ACCA. I wonder if anybody ever does that. It's impossible to do an ACCA of every Premier League game at the weekend because there's always a kind of a shock or a surprise result. Let me see what you're saying down here. I thought it'd be an interesting question to ask. Mr. Mooney's saying it's the toughest league for sure. Alicia, you're saying it's a standard of all the teams in the Prem, not just the big names, and that's kind of the thing I was saying there. It's a lot harder than Champions League, says Steez. The physicality kills slight players. That's a fact. Well, you look at Florian Wirtz, right? Is it Captain Hindsight to say I'm not surprised that he's struggling? Don't know. I don't really care about him. If I'm being completely honest, I don't care about Liverpool. It's a lie. And you're saying overall, the lower teams in the Prem would give any European team a hard game. It's just different gravy. Good old gravy. What do we think about gravy at 10:30 in the morning? Yeah, I think it's that. It kind of surprises me that players or managers are shocked by it. The fact that the team in 20th can actually give you a competitive game. Even if they're 20th. Who's bottom right now? Is it Wolves? I guarantee if United, not even just United really, if any team goes to Molyneux, you're not going to have an easy game, man. It's not going to be a pushover. There is no... Do you remember those games? Jeez, take me back. Those games where United were playing at Old Trafford, I don't know, Norwich would roll in. You'd be like, calm. That's 3 points. That doesn't exist anymore. Manny is saying the Premier League's all speed. I don't think it's just speed. I think there's been a big shift. You can even see that the physical shift. Like Pep Guardiola, looking at his different iterations of City, you can kind of follow the trends of how the Premier League has gone. And quite a lot of the times, Guardiola plays with 4 centre-backs as his defence. He's got an absolute team of Space Jam villains. Arsenal. It's a big part of their game now. And this is Arsenal, by the way, who are always known for quick, intricate, one-touch, bang, 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 bang football. That was the Arsenal way. They'd always overplay it at points. But the reason Arsenal are challenging for titles right now is because of their physicality, because of the fact that they can get a goal lead and then defend their box probably better than anybody else in the Premier League. It's just, that's what's happening at the top level. Like it or lump it, that's just kind of what the Premier League is right now. Right. Let's move on, okay? And let's move on to what's coming on Saturday, because what's everyone's take on this game? Find it mad that United is, like, this is Google. The win probability for United is 64%. Really? I don't know. I don't know about that. Go Fran's saying, Sam, you should do a video on the evolution of the Premier League, would be a banger. Boy. That'd be a long video. That's the sort of video that we can't do at this moment in time. Maybe toward the end of the season. Sunderland, right? One of the first things I said after the game against Brentford was, not one of the first things, but a couple of hours later, I said, you do realise that United will probably play quite well against Sunderland. And it will only kind of serve to frustrate a lot of us. Maybe a little bit more. Because of it. Like, he did that against Chelsea. And then the absolute polar opposite team came out against Brentford. Which probably means that the polar opposite team is going to come out against Sunderland. And like Ruben Amorim was speaking about it, it was actually the interview that he did with Owen Hargreaves came out before the Brentford game, not after. But he said in that interview, he goes, I just don't know what version of my team is going to turn up. It doesn't matter what I've done in training. It doesn't matter what they've said in training. It doesn't matter how we've trained. It doesn't matter what we've trained. I don't know what version is going to turn up. It must be so frustrating as a manager. And you could say, hold on, Sam, that's the head coach's job. It's his job to make sure he knows what team is turning up on Saturday, what team is turning up on Sunday, and to make sure that that exact same team and how they play comes in the next week. And to a point, I'd agree on that. But you know how much of this is up there for the players. You know how much it is. We spoke about this at length yesterday. Psychology of sports play, psychology at Manchester United, the scars, the trauma of the past. I'm going to run through my starting 11 tomorrow. That will be released at about 12 p.m. But yeah, look, United should actually be 4th instead of 14th. Really frustrating, that, isn't it? Kind of goes to show you how much Liverpool are overperforming versus what's actually going on with all their late winners. But no team have underperformed more than Man United according to where they actually, according to the data, should be. I suppose that's what United got to hold on to. And this probably, all this stuff, this data stuff, is probably going to be one of the biggest reasons why he still has support, strong support, clearly, right? As it stands, as far as we know, maybe I won't say clearly, but as it stands, the support that Ruben has from within. Now, I want to ask you, last 5-10 minutes of the show, what changes or tweaks do you... I'm not saying, do you want to see against Sunderland? Because I know what you'll say, like, we're not going to be throwing the formation out the window. We're not going to be dropping, like, 5 players. Or maybe we'll drop 5 players, I don't know. Like, what do you think is actually possible to happen on Saturday? Now, 2 players who have returned, Tyrell Malacia and Ahmad. Now, Malacia, it's being labelled as the sole remaining survivor from the bomb squad, comes back into United's fold. And I never at any point held Malacia in that same category. I mean, I know he was, because he was training isolated and United were trying to move him on. But Malacia never did anything wrong. Not in the same sort of ways as others haven't, like in terms of the application not being good in training, speaking out against the manager, etc., etc., bad attitude. His body has just said no. I can't imagine we're going to be seeing much of Malacia. Or maybe he comes back into the fold and becomes a deputy for sure again. I don't know. Kevin, I'll call him a decent. I've got nothing really bad to say about him. I don't think his return changes anything for Manchester United. But let's see. As for Ahmad, he missed the Brentford game due to a family bereavement. And I hope he's all right. I don't know whether he'll be given the opportunity. I suppose Ruben Amorim will pull Ahmad to the side and say, like, how are you? Are you all right? Are you ready to play? Do you want to play? And if Ahmad gives him, yeah, good, and he's sure, then he'll bring him back into the team. If not, he'll be given another break and he'll come back after the international break, probably against Liverpool. Let me see what you're saying down here in the chat. Potato is saying, have Cunha drop deep when we don't have the ball, then when we have it, he has more space to run into. Like, you know, in the first couple of games this season? Maybe it wasn't first couple, but a couple of times this season where Cunha played up front. He played as the furthest man forward. And I'm like, mate, don't do that, man. I know on paper he might operate as a sort of an auxiliary number 9. He could probably feel that. If you were going to pull one greatest strength of Cunha's game, it's receiving the ball, turning and facing with a 30, 40 yards in front of him. That's where Cunha's great. Cunha is great at turning an attack into a chance. That's his, like, prime position. The enabler. No, he's not even the enabler. But he's so good at ball carrying and so good at creating something from literally nothing, simply through dribbling and possession. You lose that if you're playing further forward, man. Play him ideally as the left number 10 and have him operate just past the halfway line. That's where you want him to receive the ball. As for others, the big question, where's everyone stand with Bruno now this season? Like, quite a few of you are mentioning Le Mans, right? I swear to God, if he doesn't start on Saturday. If he doesn't start on Saturday, I've got nothing really to say. I'm like, what's the bloody point in signing the lad? For real. It's Sunderland at home. I understood not playing him against Chelsea. I would have played him against Chelsea. No, what was it? Chelsea? Was it? No, City. City away. I was like, that's fair enough. Don't throw him in there. Then you got Chelsea at home. I'm like, I could understand if you did, but I would have done it, but understanding the logic of not doing it. And I wouldn't have done it away from home for the first game. But Sunderland at home, there is absolutely no reason to not start this lad. As for Bruno, I want him to start as the number 10, but I want Cunha and Mbeumo to start. So you're going to have to play him deeper. And this is where I understand people that wanted him to move on this summer. In terms of a strategy perspective, I think there was an argument there. And we had these conversations, didn't we, about do Manchester United go big on a number 10 and play Bruno deeper, or go big on a central midfielder and play Bruno further forward? Bruno will do whatever his manager asks of him, but he can't play in. I think we've seen. There will be games, by the way. It might even be the Sunderland game where Bruno plays a little bit deeper, but actually nails it. It's possible. I'd just rather see him close to goal, man. Best creator in the league. Josh is saying Cunha's out. Is Cunha out? Why would Cunha be out? Is he injured? Toby, you talking about this lad? Cobby? I've heard nothing but positive whispers about Cobby, about the training that he's doing, the extra training that he's doing, the attitude that he is having in training is proper, like, head down and grind until the opportunity comes. And I've said this before. I completely agree with competition at elite level in sports. It should be 2 players per position. Standard procedure. Don't let anybody but get comfortable. Always have someone on their toes, because if you do, you sit down. Cobby's not been getting enough of those opportunities. When he came on against Brentford, was it a half-time against Brentford? No, it was about the 60th minute. I think it was Cobby on for Ugarte and Yoro on for Maguire, which I think should have been the first 2. I think what I'd really genuinely love to see is Bruno, Cunha, and Mbeumo being rotated for those 2 number 10 positions. Now, that might mean sometimes Cunha starts on the bench. It might mean sometimes Mbeumo starts on the bench. It might mean sometimes that Bruno starts on the bench. But I think overall for the team, I'd rather that than shoehorning all your best players into the starting 11, because I think that what that is creating is not the best team. And we all know that. That's an age-old argument, man. The best team isn't necessarily the best 11 players. Sometimes that creates imbalance. And that's what I think we've got right now, is imbalance in this midfield. And we won't have any balance in this midfield until we sign, wrong one, a midfielder. Anyway, this lad should be starting. Let me see what else you're saying down there about Bruno. And Cobby, I suppose. Cobby needs to start whether Bruno gets dropped or not. Ruben's call is what's giving him so much pressure. It's like if you ask your company to do something that costs some money, then realise it's a mistake, you either come clean or ride it out. Who are you talking about there? I'm not sure what you mean, mate. Sorry. Confidence is king, says Steve. I don't know how many of these players will have much confidence right now. Mainu's not signed a new contract yet. Yeah, Aiden Beleva's not had a strong start to the season. That lad had his head turned and he hasn't been able to get his head back in the game at all. Let's be honest. Cobby should be playing as our core number 8 this season. We're in that transition period. I think so anyway. I felt it from the very start, and I kind of stand by it. It feels like United are planning on Bruno this season and Cobby next season to step into Bruno's shoes, and Manchester United to move Bruno on next summer. So therefore, you're tackling and handling a really tough situation where you've got Cobby, who's good enough and should be playing every week, and his competition is the captain of the club. There we go. But yeah, final little point, and just one little brief conversation about this lad. What are you hoping to see from Šeško on Saturday? I've spoken about this so many times. Not really seen it yet. I'll be honest. Not massively. Seen some of it. I want to see Mbeumo on the right-hand side, cutting back to the edge of the box on his left foot and curling one in for Šeško to get on the end of. I want to see Dorgu on the left-hand side, whipping in early balls from the same thing. It feels really obvious to me. And maybe it's down to a sort of a tactical decision to not focus on crosses. I don't know, but central progression isn't where chances are being created for United. Where would you say United's best chance creation patterns are right now? Again, random question. Just curious. Do you think United are making more chances by going down the left-hand side, or doing long balls, or playing through the middle? I know it's not that, but different options. What do you think is our best method for chance creation right now? For me, it feels like getting the ball to the wing-backs as quickly as possible and using the overload that creates. Whether that would be Dorgu run down on the overlap, whether that would be cutting back inside to a ball to the edge of the box. This is quite funny, man. First two comments, left side, right side. Someone else down there, right side, left side. And Mbeumo on the counter, I think that's definitely... And Mbeumo's definitely been a big part of our chance creation. More on the wings at the present, someone's saying down there. Long balls through the right. I probably would... I think I'd agree with most of you. Most good stuff is coming through Mbeumo in some way, shape or form. Down that right-hand side. I would love to see Mbeumo get the ball more often against Sunderland and United to swing more into the box. I'm not asking us to pepper the box and do absolutely nothing else. But if you do that as well, you create second balls. You create opportunities. That's what I want to see. Sam, we got 2 against Chelsea by crossing. Trying to remember what the goals against Chelsea were. Casemiro. That was when Shaw won it. Casemiro was at the back post. And the first one was a long ball and the red card. No, it wasn't. No, what was the first goal? That was Bruno. Yeah, you're right. It was cross. I think crosses are United's best bet currently. Cutbacks to the edge of the box or crosses into it. One of the two. And you're saying, Sam, this is a problem. We are predictable because little comes through the middle. It's easy to set up against. That will be the issue until we have better central progression, and we can't have better central progression until we have a new midfielder in the team. It's almost like why I think United would probably best spending their money on a central midfielder instead of a striker this summer. Doesn't make me revisionist to say that because I said that at the time. Thank you all for tuning in. All right. Man, we've got to win on Saturday. I'll save my Sunderland start 11 for tomorrow. Today, I'm going to do a video on Højlund and just kind of going further into that debate around why are players seemingly better when they leave Manchester United. Going to cover that on a top level because I know it's an interesting conversation and maybe a debate that you want to have as well. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. If you are new, please do consider subscribing. I'll see you tomorrow.